and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be going through what I read in September and October. I combined both of them because I barely read anything in September. I kind of went with a theme of spookier times because I feel like September to October is where it's like the Halloween starts to come in. And then now, since it's November, it's feeling like Christmas. This video is going to be posted kind of late because I know people usually upload these like the first of the month, but I just had some other things planned that I wanted to do. So this is going to be a little bit later, but you know, it is what it is. It's still the same video. Okay, so starting off the month, well, September, I was reading The House Across the Lake, and then I actually ended up DNFing this one because I got too scared. But from what I read, it was a fun, interesting book. If you're someone who likes, you know, that scary sort of thing, you would like this. It had definitely, like the Taylor Swift song, No Body, No Crime. That was the vibe of this book. And it says No Body, No Crime, like in the beginning somewhere. Like it literally references that Taylor Swift song. I think he did it, but I just can't prove it. And it kind of starts off in a situation where like that sort of thing is going on. And it like starts, the action starts right away. I will say that. It's like starts off leaving you like, okay, why is this happening right now? And then you just want to keep figuring it out. The language and the descriptive like imagery in this book was very scary. It left me unnerved. So if you're a sucker for like that imagery that really goes into depth, I would describe the imagery as like haunting. Like it feels like there's something behind it that's like not said. It's just like a very beautiful book from what I read so far. And it also seems kind of terrifying. And also like girl living in house on a lake. Sometimes I wish I was the type of person who liked the books like that, like scary books, because I didn't know if I was. I was like, maybe I will be that person. And then I started reading it and I quickly found out that I'm not that person. But the next book that I read was Gothicana, which is also kind of a scary book, but not really. So it was like a scary that I could handle. It was very paranormal type of scary, and it was like set in this old castle. It's dark academia, so it's like a college school or something. I know the girl in it, I think she's like 21 or something, but she is going and attending this school. She's also like kind of psychic, or like she has like some special abilities. This book leaves you off and there's unanswered questions. It's one of those books where like you actually read it, you're just thinking about it for a while and you're like, what? Some things were answered, but other things were just not answered, and I kind of love that. I usually don't like when that happens, but in this book I actually really kind of like that because it kept me theorizing what could have happened. This is like an age gap romance, kind of. I think they're like 5 years. I don't know. I don't think it's actually that big of a or like 7 years. I don't know. But I don't think it's that big of a difference. I just think that it seems like it because he's like a professor. So there is that dynamic, so just keep that in mind when you're reading it. And it's mainly, first and foremost, a romance, like a dark romance. Scary shit happens in this book. It's actually kind of scary, but I would recommend it. Halloween time has passed, you know, but every once in a while, if you get in the mood to kind of read like a scary, dark, paranormal romance again, this one's a great one. The mystery in this book is insane. It is so interesting, and it's like, I was writing down on the pages of the book trying to figure out clues to like what's actually going on, and there was a plot twist in there that shocked me. I did not see it coming, and it like, even when I think about it, it like makes me, it was just so scary. It was such a scary plot twist, and it's something that I wasn't expecting. Okay, now I think this is one of my favorites that I read from the entire month. Really going back through it, I'm realizing how much I loved so many of these books. And I'm also realizing how much I miss reading like just romances, because I read a lot of fantasy this month. And I was like really in the mood for fantasy this entire month. But now I'm like, okay, give me another romance book, because I'm just going through this and I'm like, damn, I did not have a lot of just like contemporary books. And sometimes I miss a book that takes place in like the real world, because it's just, you know, it's still fun. It's just like more grounded. But these are like very imaginative and cool. But I don't know, just like different moods that I get into. We're starting November in a romance mood, just like contemporary romance mood. This is either my favorite or my second favorite. Actually, it's my second favorite book that I've read this month. But like my favorite book is like way up there, so that's still saying a lot. This is like a 5-star read for me. Why is it sticky? Oh, that's the sticker for the, it had like a Barnes & Noble sticker on it or something. Oh, also I got this one signed, which is so exciting because I've never had like a signed book before, but I pre-ordered this one like so long ago because I love the first book. And so yeah, I got this one signed. I actually might have showed this in a video before. I kind of feel like I did. But I love how it's has that foil stuff on it. So this is a like knockoff series to the Caraval series, and then like the main character, like one of the main characters in this series, is introduced in like the second and last book of the Caraval series, and that's a trilogy. The first book is Once Upon a Broken Heart. I love the first book. The only thing that I like, not even a problem, but like just a thought that I had about it, is that it ends off and it feels like it's in the middle. Like it definitely a whole story happens, but it feels like I need more to happen. But that made me like so excited to read the second book, because I was just left off on a part where I was like, so many things were like on the precipice of happening that just didn't happen yet. But at the same time, a lot happened. Like that was a very good book. This is an even better book. This book is like so much better than the first one. And looking back, I think the first one was like a 4-star. Like I really enjoyed the first one, and this one is actually so much better. So I never got bored one single time reading this. I was interested throughout the entire thing, and I loved it. I love the characters so much. I love like the situations that they get themselves into. I love like the fantastical, like whimsical, like magical descriptions and settings, and just like situations and ball gowns. There's definitely that enemies to lovers arc throughout the books, but then there's also, they kind of become each other's best friends at like a certain point, and it's like unspokenly, like they both kind of know that they are, but they got on each other's nerves, and it's very cute, and they're just like, it's so great to read. It's so fun. I like the pacing a lot. It felt like the end of this story, but then there's gonna be another one, because it left off in a cliffhanger once again, and it's a terrible cliffhanger. It's bad, but I think it's worth it to read them now and then just wait for the third book, because I just think that it's so good. Chain of Gold was amazing. It had that special feeling that all Cassandra Clare books that I've read have, where it's such a cool world to read about. The concept of Shadowhunters is really cool. I got bored like a couple of times, but it's only because sometimes her writing is very much like, she takes you through the story in depth. That's part of what makes it so good too, though, is because everything's so intricate and it feels so well formed, but at the same time, sometimes there's like lulls. Even though this one had 2 points where I was like kind of bored, I feel like the whole thing, I'm really happy I read it, because it was really entertaining and a good book. But this book, I think I was supposed to read later on, so I stopped reading it so that I could just start reading the series in the beginning, because after reading this, I was like, yeah, I think I want to read all of her books, and so or like at least most of them in that world, so I just decided to, after this one, go and read the first Shadowhunter book. The one that I think you're supposed to read first out of all of them is City of Bones, and this one was super good. I loved it a lot. It was kind of exactly what I was expecting. I saw the movie. There wasn't that much, like there were a lot of differences, but I feel like it did a good job of summing it up, and I really enjoyed the book. I love the characters' like sense of humor. That is one of my favorite things about Cassandra Clare books, are you're gonna get some sarcastic characters. I did read the next 2 books as well, and then I kind of took a pause after that, but I'm trying to think of like which one was my favorite. Oh, you know what's interesting actually is that the movie that's for this book gives away a plot point that you don't find out until the 3rd book. Like it gives away so many plot points. Oh, and then it gives away kind of a lot. But I liked that, because I think it would have kind of sucked not to know that plot point. I don't know. I feel like watching the movie for the first one kind of like primed me for these books. I knew enough to go into them and like enjoy it with everything they were throwing me. They're all solid books. I think I like the second one better than the third one. Okay, now going to my favorite book that I read out of the entire months, and also the last book that I read. So I read It Starts With Us, and I didn't know that there were so many controversial opinions on it. Like after I read it and first gave my initial thoughts on it in a video. Yeah, I personally love this book. It's like above a 5-star for me, and the reason why is because not even just the relationship between Atlas and Lily, so many things that happen in this book are like really important things that happen to people, and how they're handled and like what is talked about in this book. It's so honest. This is a spoiler, so skip to this time if you don't want to see me giving away spoilers for this, but just know that I loved it, and then I'll do like a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm gonna spoil it now. I know people wanted to see Ryle in jail. In a situation as tough as the one that Lily is in, she didn't have like enough evidence. She could continue saving up evidence, and she started to do that, which is really smart. From now on, she'll just continue saving up that evidence. But if she's gonna take him to court, she's gonna need to know that she'll win, because if not, she's making her life and her daughter's life like so much harder. Everyone's situation is different. It's a right thing is, you don't know, like sometimes you just don't know. You just have to try your best and like see what happens. Right now she has something working to where she doesn't have to come in contact with him like by herself. She has a lot of people supporting her. She feels like she's able to do this without making life so much harder for her and her daughter right now, because she can't just take away custody from him without like the court agreeing, you know? Like there's certain things that she just cannot do. I understand why she's doing what she's doing, and that's one of the things I love about this book, is that it talks about things that aren't like black and white. Like there's no right answer, wrong answer. It's just like someone trying to figure out what the best thing to do is in a world that's not always just and not fair and not like completely transparent, and everyone just doesn't know everything. It's not giving people like maybe exactly what they would want. And I think that's important. And not only the situation involving Ryle, but also the situation with Atlas and his mom and his little brother. I was so inspired by how Atlas handled that situation, and I think what he's doing for his brother is super amazing. And I love the discussion about type of family tree that's not traditional. I love how it was talked about, and I just think it was so beautifully written. It was talked about with such care and like intention. My favorite thing about this book was not Lily and Atlas together. It wasn't. But did I love hearing about that and like seeing all the unanswered questions answered and all of that stuff? I ate it up and I loved it, and I loved seeing them happy together. It's not Atlas getting her out of this situation. It's so clearly Lily getting herself out of the situation. What's said in this book is so important that I think people shouldn't overlook it, because they're saying that there's giving like too much hype to this guy who does like the bare minimum. I totally agree with the fact that Atlas was not the person who like took Lily out of the situation. He definitely wasn't that person. He was like there for her and he helped her, and he was obviously someone who she knew like what love looked like from him sometimes because of the way that he loved her, and she was like, I want to be loved like that. And I mean, I think that that's so real. That makes sense. But Lily was the only person who got herself out of that situation, because she's the only person who could get herself out of that situation. And she did it because of her daughter and because she loves her daughter. That's what should be focused on. Yes, Atlas is amazing. He's a great like stand-up dude, honestly. He's awesome. And I think he's a great person. I really loved hearing more about his past, and I enjoyed this book endlessly. And I just had to get that off my chest because I feel very passionately about this book. I think it needs to be seen for what it is. Lily and Atlas's relationship shouldn't be the sole focus of this book. I mean, they've kind of got like a solid thing going, and they have since the beginning. It's mainly just like about their journeys as individual people and their journeys together, but like not between the two of them, but like through life and like these certain things that are happening to them. It's super inspiring, and I got a lot from this book. And now that my rant is done, I will just wrap it up, because that was actually the last book that I read for those 2 months. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. If you made it this far, thank you. I like thinking about people watching an entire video all the way through is kind of crazy, because I know, like, I don't know, like it's just cool that you spent this much time watching me talk about books. I hope that you have an awesome day, and just go out there and do everything that you want to do today and tomorrow, or tomorrow if it's late at night. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.